Hi, welcome to this conversation on the Purple Couch where we get to tell real stories about real life. This is a special edition of Fave at 5, and I'm Deanna Nowadnick, and we're in the middle of a 5-part series in which we're talking about following God. I'm here today with Heather Eder. Heather is a delight. She's a devoted wife, mother, coach. Like me, she's got a book in her head that needs to be down on paper. But as you know, you can't read the book in our head, so we're working on it. I've also learned that we both have a thing about tight parking garages that go deep into the earth.
We don't like them.
We don't like them. But today we're here to talk about God and how God is with us in so many, many ways and learning to be with God in the moment. Heather, welcome to the Purple Couch.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So excited.
Heather, when we met last week, you left saying, okay, thinking about today, let's just be with the Spirit. Let's just go with it. And at the moment, I smiled and said, yes, let's do that. And then I got in my car and went, dear God, you know that I like to script things out. You know that I like to think carefully about the 19 questions I'm going to ask. Heather, how do you find that kind of confidence? How have you learned to be with God in the moment? How do you do that?
I think you should prepare me for that question. No, I'm kidding. I've just found so many different opportunities in my life where God has made up the difference and has just shown up. And I find personally that when I have everything scripted, it kind of goes haywire. And then if I pray and ask in advance, like even on the way here, I was just like, Lord, just let whatever needs to come out. And I feel like when I kind of fly by the seat of my pants, that's when I hear from other people, like, I really needed that word, or I, was so encouraged by this thing that you said, and honestly, even I'm on my worship team at church, and even those Sundays where it just feels like everything went wonky, and the whole time you're on stage, you're like trying to smile through it because it feels like everything went wrong. And then somebody will come out and say, that's the most powerful worship I've ever experienced. And I just, that testimony of other people has really given me courage over the course of my relationship with God to trust that He's going to make up that difference, because I am such a mess. I have to trust the one in charge. So really, yeah.
Well, and I think for many of us, it's easy to look back and to say, yep, that was a God moment. There was some redirection there. But that is helpful because I think as women of faith, we really want to be in the moment with God.
Yeah.
How do you, as you pray, as God is opening doors to you, as God is revealing direction to you, how do you know? How do you know it's God?
I don't always
because
know.
I can get in my way.
Yeah.
I can look back and ask God to keep up.
Yeah.
Which is not how it's supposed to work.
Yes. Yeah. I think one of the things that I often tell like my kids, right? I have 2 adult kids. I have 2 kids still at home, and I think it's so important to listen to what you believe is the Spirit. Sometimes I will ask for confirmation, and then sometimes I just step out and see what happens. And if I fall, I fall. But I've had these moments, and so I shared with you the story the other day. And so I would love to share with all of you. This it's such a testimony, and this is really the pivotal thing for me. This is how I stay on track. I like pivotal too. But I go back to this. It happened probably about 10 years ago, and I had a baby. I had a toddler and my other 2 kids in the car. I was homeschooling at the time. We stopped to get gas. I'm having one of those mom days, right? Like the ponytail and the sweatpants and no makeup and feeling all the feels. Just the tired, right? Running through my day. I pull up to the gas station. I'm pumping my gas. And on the other side of the pump comes this very attractive girl, probably 20-something, very fit, all the hair and the makeup, and I'm just feeling
all
the feels, very schlumpy. And I really felt like I heard God say in my spirit, you need to pray for her. I thought to myself, no, that is not what I'm doing. I'm at the gas station.
Gas and
yes.
God's giving you some
yes.
words, okay?
Yeah. And for me, I feel like kind of the butterfly feeling when it's the Lord, and it gets worse the longer I delay. And so I'm like, oh gosh, like, you know, like that feeling when you're gonna get on stage and your stomach's all churny. I'm like, I am not doing this. So she actually leaves to go and pay. She goes inside the store. Well, I finish up and I get in the car and I'm like, waiting and waiting. And I look over and I notice that the entire backseat of her car is full of her life. Like, there's a lamp and there are pillows. It literally looks like she emptied her bedroom or her entire apartment and shoved it in the back seat. Like, it's just willy-nilly. There's no boxes. It's just shoved in there. And I'm processing and thinking, and I still hear this voice. So I wait and I wait and I wait. And she doesn't come back out. And I'm thinking, this is dumb. I'm leaving. And the kids are like, Mom, why are we still sitting here? So I start to pull out, and I pull around the corner, and I look back in the rearview mirror one more time, and I see her come out. And I just knew in my gut that I was supposed to go back. So I pull back around, I park the car, I lock it, and the kids, Mom, what are you doing? Just hold on. And so I walk up to her and I said, this might sound
I know you don't know
absolutely crazy. That's exactly what I said. This might sound really crazy. But I feel like I'm supposed to pray for you. And her face just is like shock. Just her, and at first I see it as anger, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know what to do. And then she starts to cry. And she said, I am leaving my mom, I am leaving my home, I'm leaving all of my friends, my job, and I'm checking myself into 6 months rehab. And I was just asking God, if you are real, to give me a sign.
It's a pretty big sign.
I was overwhelmed that He would allow me to be a part of that. And so I just prayed for her, just whatever came out. And I gave her a hug, and I told her I would continue praying for her. And I got in my car and I drove away. And I thought, wow, like, what if I would have ignored that? And what is the worst thing that could have happened? Let's say she hadn't asked for a sign, right? And she's just like, that was really kind of you. If nothing else, I showed compassion to another human being. Like, I had nothing to lose, but maybe a little roughed up ego, right? You know? Yeah. But I just thought it was so, I almost let my insecurities get in the way. You know, it's very attractive. I'm too frumpy. I'm too old. I'm too whatever. I have kids in the car. I have to go. Like, there's always so many reasons that we can come up with not to be obedient. But how vital it is to listen to that still small voice, because you might literally change somebody else's life and journey by just being obedient and being kind.
Being obedient.
Mm-hmm.
Two words that are huge. And what help us? Coach us. How can we be obedient? How can we hear? How can we know that is the still small voice of God? Because I worry that I would have pumped the gas, made a judgment about that car next to me, and been long down the street before I even gave God a chance to give me a word.
Yeah. You know how, again, I always tell my kids, I have so many words. My kids could probably verbatim tell you all the things that I say over and over again, but I think they're super important.
Yeah.
So have you ever noticed when someone that you know walks into the room and you can't see them, they come up behind you, you can tell that it's them by their footstep, sometimes by their energy. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
When you spend time in prayer and in the Word, and you begin to understand what He sounds like, you can know the difference. There have definitely been times when I've been confused and I've asked for a sign of confirmation, but I really feel like there have been times even at church where I'm thinking, I'm going to tell Deanna this, and then it's like, that's Heather.
Sure.
that was not the Lord. But I'm learning through spending time with him and being obedient, right? Like I've stepped out and done things before and they kind of fell flat. I'm like, okay, but I still stepped out, right? And that voice sounded maybe a little bit different than this voice. And so like when you step out and you test and you trust and you believe that you have something inside of you that God needs, because I think that's the most important thing is our identity comes from Christ and who he's designed us to be. Yes, and your walk is very different from my walk, very different from somebody else's walk, right? And it's so vital that we learn to hear his voice and to be able to discern who we're designed to be. Because when we walk in the fullness of who God has made us to be, that's where that lovely community and that fellowship happens.
Well, and you talk about like the parenting relationship, and you think about as parents, what are the things that we do? You know, we let our kids know what expectations are. We love them through the missteps, the misdeeds. We love them through the moments that go great. And again, if you think about our walk with God and how he is going to love us through that, he will be faithful through that. We can trust him through that. And as you were saying before, how do we know him? Well, we've got to be in his word. We've got to do what we need to do, whether it's a Sunday morning or a Wednesday afternoon. How can we know him? Yeah.
We spend time with him.
We spend time with
him. And what
him.
is his nature? You know, I think that it's also, you know, when God asks you to do this, I think it's okay to go back to the word and say, I feel like I'm being led in this direction. But if it's not what God would ask of you, if it's not in his nature, if it's not kind and pure and altruistic even, you know, that maybe that's not him. I think it's, you know, it's real easy to say, well, I really felt like I was supposed to do that. Or, you know what I mean?
Do you ever get impatient sometimes?
Oh, so impatient. I'm very impatient right now. I just told you the other day. I was just like, things are not lining up for me. I have no idea what I'm doing. I get very impatient. And you know what's amazing though? This is another piece of obedience. Just today,
okay,
I went to a friend of mine and I texted her a couple days ago that I needed prayer for something. And she gave me just a big old bear hug, told me she loved me, and she said, God told me this when I started to pray for you. And I was like, doggone it. Why doesn't he tell me?
Because he told me to tell you.
But you see what I'm saying though? Her obedience to go and intercede on my behalf, right? She was faithful. She was walking out who she was supposed to be. Yeah. She was able to speak to me and fulfill what she had for her. Like God, we are his hands and feet. Yeah. He's not always going to drop a truth bomb in my head. Sometimes he's going to send a lovely person like you to say, Heather, I think this is for you. And that's actually going to sometimes speak louder than the internal conflict. Was that really God? But
yeah.
You know
what
my
reaction is, yeah, but how do I know Heather's not going to look at me and go, what? Are you sure?
But you know what's so cool about God is there have been very few times when someone has looked at me with the crazy face. I mean, it's happened. But what's happened more, and what is so amazing, what's so worth the risk, is that look on someone else's face when they are so grateful.
Yeah.
That you would take the time to communicate hope.
And you're talking about relationship and remembering that God is a relationship God. He put us in a relationship with him and each other. And we're not alone. And I think too often we can feel alone.
Yeah.
As life unfolds, you know, we're unsure. Maybe we did mess up, and we hesitate to reach out. We hesitate to speak to others. We hesitate to open ourselves up to others because we're just unsure.
Right.
And to remember that God has surrounded us with the awesomest people.
Yes. And that he lives inside us. When Jesus went, he said, I've left the Spirit with you. I've left the Holy Spirit with you. And I think that's just key, right? Because that's what ties us all together, is that we're of one Spirit. And really, we're all in this together.
We are.
We really are. It's true.
We are. Heather, you are a delight. And as I said, as I was leaving our call the other day going, really, God? Really? You're just going to have me, like, be in the moment? Oh, my goodness. And what a reminder to us is that we can be in the moment. And whether we see it all at once, we may not. It may be revealed to us very slowly. It may be revealed to us at some point in time when we're ready.
Yeah.
What a blessing.
Yeah.
What a blessing.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's delightful. It's delightful. Thank you for joining us. Next week, we will be continuing. This will be our 4th conversation on the Purple Couch. And we're going to be meeting with the brand new Monroe City Council person, Heather Rousey, who has followed God into politics, which is probably not where you would think that God would lead us. But she's deep roots in our community, great compassion, passion for the Monroe community, and it'll be a wonderful conversation. So we thank you for joining us on the Purple Couch. We'll be back. See you next week. We giggle because every week, this is the hardest part of the whole show, is turning the camera off.